very soon. Do stay with us as we turn over to our next story. Iran's Revolutionary Guard announced that they had launched a new wave of attacks, calling them the 7th and 8th waves of Operation Honest Promise 4, following Israeli and US strikes that killed Iran's supreme leader. The Guards did not specify the targets of the attack, but described it as a large-scale operation against the enemy. Joining us now to discuss this is Mark Sutherland, a geopolitical commentator, joining us live from London. Mark, thank you very much for joining us here on the broadcast. We are, of course, and we did get that huge development last night that the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, had in fact been killed. But the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps still very much remains active with huge capabilities, especially in the Middle Eastern region. What more can you tell us about the IRGC, its capabilities, particularly in the Middle East region, as it's launched its 7th and 8th wave of attacks against the United States bases and Israel?
Thomas, good to be with you again and your esteemed guest. It was very noted, and I'm just noting the former ambassador's comments, as you have talked about, in regard to the fact that Iran has actually attacked 8 countries in over the last 48 hours. And as we've said, regionally, UAE, etc. And one comment that came out of esteemed General Avivi of IDSF was saying that they were quite surprised to see that so early on. And what does that say in regard to the Iranian regime? Because it seems that they're immediately trying to, in my humble opinion, to bring in other countries into this. And remember also, we have seen even UK planes, even though they say they have not participated in attack, defending those other countries. Thomas, the bottom line is this, in my humble opinion: there is a lot of bravado that will come out of the Iranian regime. We are still waiting for a lot of assessments. We know that, as you've just said, that the previous the Ayatollah has been killed, along with other members of the regime. Military were also taken out on his compound extremely early on, when the Israelis dropped bombs in that situation. And now, as you've said, they've appointed a leader, and it's also, as I'm watching other feeds, is then saying we're going to strike back with even more force. I am fully aware that there are constantly, at times, there are alerts that are going on over Israel, and people are going to their bombshells, quite rightly. So there's lots of assessments that we are still waiting for, and the rockets are still firing.
Yes.
And how many they have, because they've been taking delivery from the allies that support them. We're going to wait and see. Thomas, to you.
Yes. Mark, stay with us once again as we turn over to another update coming out of that ongoing situation. Israel's Defense Minister, Israel Katz, described the killing of Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, as a turning point in the ongoing war with the Islamic Republic. Katz emphasized Khamenei's leadership in orchestrating efforts against Israel, calling him the architect of the axes of evil surrounding the nation. He further highlighted Khamenei's uncompromising stance against Israel and stated that his elimination, along with other senior Iranian officials, marks a significant shift. Katz made these remarks during a security assessment with top military and security officials, as stated in a statement from his office. We have updates coming out from the ground. According to Israel's emergency service, Magen David Adom, a barrage of missiles launched from Iran caused multiple casualties in central Israel, including a young girl in serious condition. The missile fire struck the Beit Shemesh region And since the operation was launched, Israel has confirmed 2 deaths and 456 injuries from Iranian attacks. Reports indicate that 86 people remain hospitalized, 1 in serious condition. A rocket also hit central Tel Aviv, causing significant material damage. Ambassador Secret and Mark Sutherland join us in this conversation. I want to start off, Ambassador, with the Defence Minister's comment, calling this a turning point in the ongoing war with the Islamic Republic. We've seen further previous operations, not exactly like this one, but one could cite even Nicolas Maduro's capture. The president was captured along with his wife. The leader is taken out, but the government still remains there. We, of course, know about the Iraq War, a war which lasted a couple of months on paper, but of course spanned almost 10 years. Is Israel's defense minister jumping the gun a bit here in terms of his comments, calling this a turning point in the conflict? Apologies, Ambassador, I believe you're muted.
I think the retaliation by Iran, obviously from the details you have provided, they have breached the dome that Israel has always felt would be protecting them from any incoming missile or drone attack. But this seems to have been breached, and you've spoken about a large number of people having been injured and some having been killed and taken to hospital. Now, certainly the reaction within Israel to that would be disconcerting, but the statement by Israel's defense minister seems to show that they're going to continue with the attacks on Iran. And President Trump also, in his statement, let it be known that for the rest of this week, for the coming week, that these attacks are going to continue. So I don't see an early end to this unless they feel that they have completely disabled Iran's not only the air defense capabilities, but also their very missile sites, as well as what they were thinking of as their potential nuclear sites. So I think does not look to be something that will have a quick end, but this is very difficult because for all the countries in the region, they having come under the attack for the first time, because it's now no longer USA, Israel and Iran. It is a much larger number of countries involved, and they are also suffering casualties. There's also been major disruptions in shipping, major disruptions in civil aviation communications. So I think this is a major strike. Probably tomorrow morning when the markets open, we are going to see the impact. What the markets feel, the stock markets, what they feel about this. I think they're expecting a jump in the oil prices and a fall in the stock markets figures all across the world. So the long-term economic impact of this certainly cannot be ruled out. I do not know, that one would have expected that the president of, that the defense minister of Israel would have given some more details about the outcome of their attacks on Iran. But there are not many details coming in about that. That, what we do know, of course, as you said, that the Supreme Leader Khamenei has been eliminated, a number of others, including his family members and other leaders. But the Iranian government has responded with what they call an acting Supreme Leader who is put in. And we do not know what the decisions of the acting Supreme Leader and the IRGC seem to be to continue the retaliation. So this is their response. But from the Israel government, there are no details about, they're going to continue the attacks, what is the outcome of these attacks. I do know that from within Iran, some people did say that, the attacks are confined to military targets, and they're telling the civilian people move away from military targets and not be anywhere near them. They're virtually announcing this. So if the outcome of those military attacks is successful, then they would be debilitating Iran's capacity to respond. But we do know that Iran has a very, very large number of missiles. Whether they able to take them to secure areas, and whether they've been able to launch them from these secure areas without detection from Israeli, capabilities, the reaction from Iran is continuing,
Okay.
and that certainly indicates that the hostilities will continue for some time more, and the impact is going to be equally disastrous on
Yes.
the economy, on energy security, and many other aspects.
Ambassador Sikri, thank you so much for taking the time here on the broadcast with us. Pleasure to talk to you. Mark, I pose the same question to you. Donald Trump, of course, campaigned against the United States getting involved in foreign wars. Does this risk being one of America's forever conflicts, if the right steps are not taken, possibly even larger than the likes of Iraq?
I note all your previous comments and before this broadcast in regard to Iraq on what had gone on there and how things had unfolded there. We remind ourselves over here of the sexed up dossier, but it was also the fact that we actually put boots on the ground. I do not see that happening. And I note your comments in regard to forever wars. I don't actually think that is what the American administration want at all. How this folds out, people could then accuse me of saying, well, this could prolong. Just note a few things. That Israel is targeting, and America, they are targeting military installations in Iran, where the Iranians are targeting civilian attacks around, of course, in Israel and other countries. So let's just note that. I don't see any situation where the Americans are saying we're going to put boots on the ground in the context of Iraq. President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have made it very clear over the last 24 hours in their conversations, which is to say to the Iranian people, this is your moment. This is your moment to take your country back. We go back to 1979. And just note this, let's not forget that any number between 35,000 and maybe even up to 100,000 of dear Persian citizens of Iran have been murdered on the streets of Iran by this despicable, in my humble opinion, regime. That is what they have done. Now, we have seen on X elsewhere the celebrations by the Iranian people of the Ayatollah's death. Now I understand there seems to be a restriction again on what we can then get out of Iran. That has to be verified. I am sure, just finally, Thomas, the calculations within the American administration and what this looks like, and as soon as the critics of President Trump, who were even once his supporters, will turn around and go, look, this is a forever war. I'm sure that all those conversations, decisions have been had, and also in regard to Israel. In regard to Israel, the comments that I see through contact, the answer is that we are prepared to go through this and this pain to then see the people of Iran, Persian people, freed, and to have the freedom and the liberty that they deserve, that was then taken away from them in the Red-Green Axis in 1979. This is all unfolding, and Thomas, as you and I were not privy to the conversations that are going on behind closed doors, but we don't want this to escalate. And on a personal opinion, I don't see this doing that in regard to the other 7 countries that the Iranians have bombed. Thomas, to you.
Mark, do stay with us. We have another update for our viewers. Gulf countries will